Yo, what's going on YouTube? This your boy Kamen Zero Spike back again once again. And today, people, today we have Avataro Sentai Donbrothers episode 37. Now, this was a very kind of this was a very good episode. We got the introduction to Sanoshi. Sanoshi, who is the superior to the our other three Sarah brands, who has been sent there to observe them on their battles and things like that, and has noticed and has been documenting a lot of things that he sees them doing with the Dawn Brothers, seeing how they have gotten this sort of close to the Dawn Brothers, and each one of them has like kind of like a special relationship with the other, and he ain't playing that. He ain't with that. So he basically throughout this episode we see that he is kind of scheming and trying to get them to trying to get the Sarah brands to go and take out the Dawn Brothers for real. Like, as it actually ends up taking them out for real, and actually not really, like, actually taking them out for real, and not, you know, dilly-dallying and stuff anymore. He even goes to the Dawn Brothers themselves and tries to get them to basically tells them that, hey, we challenge you and stuff like that. So we see that the Dawn Brothers have like kind of basically teamed up with the rest of the other three Sarah brands to basically take out Sanoshi. Sanoshi basically is just that dude. Like, he's really freaking cool. His suit actually looks cool. I mean, it's red. It's he got some black and red action going. He kind of looks like a red version of Sonoi. But yeah, he kind of looks like a red version of Sonoi, but he has like a sword that turns into a whip. Like, he fights kind of like elegantly and things like that. But he's actually kind of psychotic. Like, he's actually like kind of messed up in the head to a degree. We see like he's all happy, cheery, and bubbly, and very rude to everyone when he's around them. But when he's alone, we see how messed up in the head this guy really is. So we see that the Sarah brand and the Dawn Brothers basically have kind of like made a plan to basically end up taking out Sanoshi. We see that Sanoshi is basically just a little bit too powerful for them to take out. So they decided to. We saw that he was actually capturing people. He was disinfecting. He pulled out like a disinfectant spray everyone with it, and he gets some of the Anoi, and make them like capture people, like basically take people and capture people off. And we see that they are asking him like, why are you kidnapping people, and he basically says that I'm cleaning up your like really weird world. And the rest of the Sarah brand basically say that, hey, he's acting like a Hitotsuki, and they basically come up with this plan to basically get a Hitotsuki to possess him, since Sarah brand cannot become Hitotsuki. So they ended up finding the same samurai ninja dude who has basically been a Hitotsuki 3 or 4, I think like 2-3 times. Yeah, he's been a Hitotsuki like 2-3 times, and they end up finding him, and they we see that Sanoza and Sononi, they ended up going to him and actually basically pulling the Hitotsuki out of him, and they use it, and they basically capture that Hitotsuki so they could put it inside of Sonoichi and turn him into a Hitotsuki and basically attack him. So I guess that's basically, since, you know, Sarah brand technically don't have emotions and feelings, they can't become a Hitotsuki, but apparently you can possess them. You can put someone else's Hitotsuki inside of them and make them become that Hitotsuki. So that's basically the plan. So they ended up basically coming up with this plan to make him think that they're all fighting each other, and they did a whole roll call thing and things like that. It was actually pretty cool. We saw like the trio Sarah brand, which is what they call themselves. They actually did their own roll call. It was kind of old school, kind of very vanilla, you know, like those old school Sentai roll calls where there's an explosion at the end and things like that. But we end up seeing that the Dawn Brothers, with the exception of Inu brother, they ended up doing their roll call, and then that's when Tato comes in and kind of ruins it. Even Tato and Jiru, Jiru comes in and kind of ruins it. But then even Jiru and Totobolt end up doing their own little addition to the roll call as well. And they didn't have no explosion at the end. They basically just like threw up some like confetti and streamers and ribbons and stuff like that, and it was actually kind of nice. So we see that all they see the Sarah brand and the Don brothers basically go at it. They're fighting each other, and we end up seeing that Sonoy basically ends up killing Taro, and Taro actually dies. We see that Sanoshi walks up to Taro's dead body and confirms his death, but then that's when Sonoza throws the Hitotsuki spirit inside of Sonoichi, and he transforms into a Hitotsuki, the Gingaman Hitotsuki. So he transforms into the Hitotsuki, and we see that Taro ends up coming back to life, because we know that Taro, when he lies, he dies. So they end up using that little thing from Taro to use that for their advantage over Sonoichi. We see they end up fighting Sonoichi, and they ended up while he's in his Hitotsuki form, and that's when the Cerebrand Sonoe stops him and says, "Nah, we're gonna be the ones that take care of him." So they end up fighting Sonoichi while he's in his Hitotsuki form, and we see that just when Sonoe gets ready to do the final hit, basically gets ready to do the final hit, we see that he stops. And that's when Sodazar comes in and tries to do the final blow, but then he blocks Sodazar's spear, and that's when they ended up that's when the Dawn brothers ended up fighting him off, and we ended up having our mech battle. But you know, in this series, the mech battles aren't really that long. They're like a minute long. So he ended up defeating him. He turns back into his regular form, and he gets pissed off, and he's like, "I won't forget this, like, ever." He leaves, right? So when he leaves, we see that they question Sonoe on why didn't you strike him down? Why didn't you actually destroy him? And he says that I couldn't strike down he's still, even though we don't like him, he's still a Cerebrand just like us. He's our people. He's one of us. And he couldn't. That's how he felt. Like, that's how Sonoe felt. Like, he felt like he shouldn't, destroy his own kind. And the episode kind of ends off with basically the episode kind of ends off right there with with them basically still like fighting each other, but they didn't really fight each other, stuff like that. When I know that Sonoichi actually looks pretty freaking cool. I hate that we only see him for like this one episode. Maybe we'll see him again. Of course we're gonna see him again, because he survived. But this whole thing about him coming from the council and stuff like that, I wonder what the council's when he goes back, because we know he's gonna tell the council, those freaking idiots, but we know he's gonna tell the council. And since the whole, since Sonoe has had, Taro's juices, inside of him, it kind of stops him from essentially stops him from straight up killing people now. Well, not killing, but putting them in that other like pocket universe thing. So it stops him from doing that. So actually, now that the Cerebrands essentially don't do that anymore, there's really no reason for them to be at odds with each other anymore. There really isn't, because at first they were at odds with each other because of the way they handled Hitotsuki. But now, since both teams essentially saved the person who is the Hitotsuki, there really is no point in being like at odds with each other anymore, unless we just fight each other for fun or something like that. But we see that after they've taken out Sonoichi, he goes back and he's like, "I won't forget this. You guys are gonna." He's pissed off, and he's so, and he leaves and like sparkles. I'm like, yo, like, come on, dude. Like, you're cool. We get it, but he ends up leaving. We see that. After everything's kind of said and done or whatever, we see that Sonoe could not defeat. They were mad at him. They questioned him about, like, why didn't you destroy him? And he's like, well, I don't want to destroy. Even though we don't like him, he's still one of us. He's still a Cerebrand. He's one of our people. And the episode, it ends off right there. But after that, we end up seeing Pink go home to Miho. But it ain't Miho. It's a freaking doll in a black and red dress. And I'm just like, yo, like, My boy's really. This is really messing with him. I mean, I know. I've been there, dog. I've been there. Oh my god, I've been there. But this is really messing with him. And the episode ends off right there, all creepily. And I'm just like, where did the doll come from? There's something significant about this freaking doll. They didn't just throw this in here for nothing. This is weird. I'm like, yo, so. But overall, this episode was great, man. I do like Sonoichi. He's a messed up individual all the way to the point where he's that villain that causes the good guys and the villains to team up with each other to beat him. Like, he's that villain. And I like villains like that. Those are my favorite kinds of villains. So, with that being said, though, with all this going on, especially since, now that now we're basically the Sarah brand and the Donbrothers have essentially teamed up with each other. Who's gonna be the big bad of this series? I know it might not be Sonoichi, because you see how easily they were able to defeat him. Like, I don't think, well, in his Hitotsuki form, now in his transformed Sarah brand form might be a different story. But we don't know who we still have no idea who the real big bad is. Maybe we know if maybe it's like the bestial that kidnapped Natsumi, stuff like that, which we still haven't had no wind of. But other than that, yeah, we really don't have a big bad. I mean, now that Sonoichi most likely is going to tell the council about what the hell just happened, so it's all up in the air at this point. You really can't speculate Donbrothers. Like, you really can't speculate Donbrothers because they always trick you with these freaking previews and stuff like that. You don't know what the duck is going to happen. But you guys let me know down in the comment section below what you guys think of episode 38. No, not 38. Episode 37 of Donbrothers. I'm gonna see you guys next time. Make sure to like, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and remember, as I always say, stay henshined.